Welcome to Floridaman News. I found some news articles from Florida that I wanted to share with you today. So sit back and enjoy as I read the news from the magical state of Florida. Here we go. A Florida man was arrested after asking deputies for booze and ice cream. A 65-year-old Florida man called 911 multiple times. One Saturday night, deputies responded to the Florida man's call, him calling saying he had an emergency. When they arrived, he told them to take a $20 bill that was on his couch and return to his place with some liquor. After explaining to him that that was not an emergency and that it was a misuse of 911, they thought they confirmed that the Florida man understood. The very next day, the Florida man gave another 911 call. On arriving this time, he asked the deputies to take the ice cream out of his freezer since he wasn't able to get out of his recliner. Since the Florida man wasn't in distress or need of medical attention, the deputy placed him under arrest for misuse of 911. Florida man tried to escape cops by stripping naked, Ribeyes falling out of his pants. The police said they found the 28-year-old Florida man running out of the store in the Buff. When he refused to stop, officers shot him with a taser. The incident occurred on a Friday night at a Save-A-Lot. The store told the police that they had the man pinned to the ground, but he was fighting with them. And to escape, he wriggled out of his clothes. And that's when they noticed the 4-pack of ribeye steaks that fell from his trousers. The store manager reported that the Florida man was a regular shoplifter at the store, and one of the other shoppers saw him stuffing meat down his pants, then the manager tried to stop him. Unfortunately for this Florida man, being naked and being shot with a taser wasn't bad enough. The prongs actually got stuck in his privates. Florida man tells police that Wynn had blown the bag of cocaine into his car. During a traffic stop, around 11:45 p.m., during the traffic stop, when police approached the Florida man, he was making attempts to discard the items outside the passenger window. They also said he was also trying to hide an open can of Budweiser. Even though he said the bag wasn't his, they also found a pipe and some residue in the back seat of cocaine. A Florida man blames a horse for a break-in. A 52-year-old Florida man has been arrested, reportedly using a horse to break into a house, and all this was caught on video. The homeowner was alerted by a surveillance video that he got on his phone. Upon seeing the man breaking into his home, he called the sheriff's office and decided to head over there himself. Upon arrival, he saw a horse running away. Upon seeing the man, he asked him what he was doing in his house, and the guy said that his horse broke into his house, and he had to go in and get her. According to the surveillance video, it made it painfully obvious that the horse had nothing to do with it. Even though nothing was taken, he was still charged with $100 worth of damage. Deputies also said that the horse did not belong to him, and it was returned to his rightful owner. Okay, now we're gonna start younger. A Florida boy sends 41 people to the hospital by mistaking pepper spray for body spray. According to the report, the boy had taken the pepper spray from the belongings of another student and decided to help himself with a generous spritz. Unfortunately, it was in a gymnasium where at least 41 students were transported to the hospital. A 58-year-old Florida man was busted for running naked on what he said was a dare. Around 2:45 a.m., they saw a man jogging naked. He didn't seem to be bothered by the fact that he was nude in public. They couldn't determine at that point where he was staying or where his friends were because he had no identification, seeing that he had no clothing. It turns out the Florida man had a long arrest record. He was eventually charged with indecent exposure. A Florida man who looked like the classic painting of Jesus is accused of setting fire to a Catholic church. The 23-year-old Florida man plowed his minivan through the front door of a Catholic church. Then he doused the foyer with gasoline, causing extensive damage. This being early on a Saturday, several people were inside preparing for Mass. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The Jesus look-alike told detectives that he was mentally ill, and he stopped taking his medication. He also told detectives what he did was awesome, and he smiled and laughed. Then he went on to tell the detectives he was on a mission, calling himself the King, and he had problems with the Catholic Church, also citing scriptures from the book of Revelation. A Florida man haunts the beaches dressed as the Grim Reaper. Since the beginning of his tour on May the 1st, this Florida man lawyer would come out dressed as a Grim Reaper, saying, "You're dead for being out here." One beachgoer told CNN he thought it was a bit much. Regardless of the opposition, he continues to tour in hopes of being a voice for the people of Florida. He says his main concern isn't necessarily Floridians, but tourists who come from out of state. A Florida man stole an ambulance and leads law enforcement on a multi-county chase. Florida man is behind bars after he reportedly stole an ambulance around 2:30 a.m. The crew told police that the vehicle was locked from the front doors, but the back doors were unlocked as they were wheeling out a patient. Another one of the crew members told them that the man asked him for a ride in the ambulance, but he told him no because they were in the middle of treating a patient. Well, that wasn't enough for the Florida man. He decided to enter the back of the ambulance, go up front, and take off. Eventually, deputies were able to catch up with him, and he was apparently traveling at a high rate of speed. Now, not only did he have a ride in an ambulance, he also had a ride in a cop car. A Florida man exposes himself at a gift shop after being asked to put on a face mask. The 37-year-old Florida man was arrested for exposing himself in a gift shop. According to the sheriff's office, the Florida man refused to put on a face mask after being asked by employees to do so, and he began to speak vulgarities toward a particular woman in the room and one minor girl, talking about his genitals, their bodies, and pornography. He later went on to pull his shorts down and expose himself to everyone while continuing to use vulgar language. He was later apprehended in the parking lot and taken into custody. A Florida man missed hydrogen peroxide all over city streets in an effort to combat COVID-19. A Florida man who owned an agricultural spraying company had the bright idea of disinfecting the air. He is reportedly saying, "I think every city in the dang United States needs to be doing it. No questions asked. I was listening to different doctors. They were telling about how the virus can stay airborne. Well, what goes up must come down. You don't use a bullet for this. So instead of that, I'm going to pull those boogers down with some hydrogen peroxide." It was determined to be perfectly safe, so he went on to spray the whole town, even the hospital, its entrance and parking lot. A Florida man and woman arrested for DUI was caught having sex in the back of the police cruiser. A sheriff's deputy saw the Florida man and Florida woman riding a bike without lights on around 11:30 p.m. Both riders cut into the middle of the road and was nearly hit by a car. They were pulled over, and the deputy said they detected a very strong odor of alcohol. Both of them had bloodshot and watery eyes and were slurring their words. Both of them were arrested for DUI and placed in the back of the deputy's patrol car. The deputy said, "While I was outside of my patrol vehicle, both the Florida man and woman started to have sex. When he opened the door to stop them, the Florida man ran off naked. Eventually, they was able to apprehend him and take them both into custody. Their breathalyzer test showed that they were well over the legal limit." The deputy also said, "It should also be noted that the time delay between the breathalyzer test and when they were stopped was 3.5 hours. The feds charge a Florida man and son for selling fake virus cure. A Florida man and 3 sons are facing federal charges for illegally selling a bleach-like chemical mixture as a miracle cure for the new coronavirus and other diseases. According to the Food and Drug Administration, the solution sold by the men would become bleach when ingested. Authorities in the medical field said that drinking bleach can be fatal. The substance was marketed as a miracle mineral solution. It was sold nationwide through a church, according to the criminal complaint. The Miami federal judge in April ordered the self-styled church to stop selling the substance. The complaint said that they initially agreed and abided by the judge's order, but later they changed their tone. And in a podcast and email to the judge herself, they said, "We will not be participating in any of your unconstitutional orders, summons, and etc." One email from the Florida man said, "Again and again I have written you all that you have no authority over our church." Thank you very much again for joining me for Florida Man News. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like, and share. because I want to get this channel growing again and I need your help. I want to give a special thanks to my patrons. Their extra support goes a long way. I'm totally revamping my merchandise, which is going to be updated. I hope you check it out. I'll have the links down in the description. Also, we're going to be making more of a presence on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us there for extra content and silly news. Again, thank you for listening, and until next time, this is Dallas, signing off.